Hey guys, it is me Simone, and in this video we're going to start the second process, our second video in the series of how I inventory my supplies and what I'm doing. So let's go off and start off with the dyes. This is the most time consuming process for me so far, and I'm not done. When I mentioned in the first video that I'm going on a week and a half of doing this process, that is mostly my dyes, and it is because one, I've been buying more dyes, not recently in the sense of being like a month or so, and I've started this process and I'm slowly getting the dyes I purchased for my birthday in, so it's just a little bit annoying because I don't want to do all this inventory, but at the same time I do. When I did finish doing my embossing folders, which will be next video, it felt so amazing to have them in my book, have them numbered, and then have them put away, and I can easily find a specific one that I'm looking for, and then find them in general. So I just love that. I know what I have, so if I go online, I want to buy more embossing folders, I know embossing folders I already had and have. So it's a good process. I do like it and it's making me happy. It's just very time consuming, and I'm not going to, sugarcoat that. So let's go over kind of what I'm doing so far in the process. So I've gone through all my dyes and I put them in sections. So I put them in sections that made sense for me. What do I look for when I look for dyes? I look for dyes by shapes, flowers, layering dyes and background dyes, tags, alphas, and then others, and Christmas. I just recently started buying more Christmas dyes, and I know I'm not going to put them in the other section because I'm going to look for them specifically. What do I want? I want a Christmas dye. I want a Santa Claus. Let me look through my stash, see if I have a Santa Claus. Boom. Everything else, not so much. No. So what I did with this process is my first started, I did a very complicated process and I really hated it. It made the process way slower than it had to be. And when I dropped that, it went faster. What I first started doing is I went through my dyes and I labeled them. I gave them a name, made some name for them, and then wrote their name down on like a sticker and in the book. And it took a long time because I had to give all these dyes names because they don't come with names. Some of them do have names, most of them don't. So I had to make up my own names for them, which took so long because I wanted to make a good name for them, and that's not the point of this, kind of process. So once I stopped doing that, it just made this go by way faster. The next thing you can always do too is you can keep your dyes when you do cut them out by like shapes. So all your oval like shapes or circle like shapes are together, all your rectangles and your triangles and everything are together. I started with that, but then I just kind of didn't keep up with it. So this page you can see are all circle like shapes, and then the next page are square and rectangle like shapes, another circle, and then it just kind of goes whatever. I just stopped doing that, but at first I did. The first thing I did with this process, which made it take a little longer and made me use way more paper, was I cut each and every dye out whole. Like I didn't just nest them inside of each other and cut it out like that, which is what I did later on. So all I do now is I nest my dyes like this, put on a piece of paper and cut it out. All I really need is the wide, like the outline. Okay, so how wide is this? That's all I need. How wide is the second one? How wide is the third one, and so on and so on. I don't need them all to be solid pieces of paper because I'm just going to glue them on top of each other. It doesn't matter. So a lot of papers have holes in the middle, like this one here. You can see there's a lot of gaps because I just nest them inside of each other and then cut it out. There are some dyes I couldn't do that for because they are solid metal stamps and you can't nest them inside of each other, even though they are like nesting dyes. But every one I could do, I started doing that. It does, one, reduce the bulk of having like 5 or 6 or 7 layers of paper stacked on top of each other. And 2, it just makes you use less paper. This process is time consuming, I'm gonna keep saying that, but I like it because it tells me what dyes stamp out really well, which ones don't, and then what dyes I don't like. So I don't like this dye, I can put in a stash and get rid of it. And I can do a de-stash and be about my day. And I know I don't like it, or I won't use it because I forgot. As I said before, I love storing my dyes, but they're all in a bin just like this, and they're put in like that. So any small dye like this one, it's gonna be really hard to see in this envelope if this dye is in front of it. I'm not gonna say that. I tell you, there's been several times I've passed a dye looking for it, like I knew I had it, but I could not find it because it's just all kind of put in a bin. And I did semi-sort them, but I didn't keep up with it. But I have gone through and I've added dividers, little piece of paper with dividers between my dyes, and they're all labeled with basic shape dyes, flower dyes, and plants, and then what else? I think it says tags, alphas, and then other. I haven't done other yet. So just keeping everything with that. The next process I want to do after I finish everything is give them all numbers and letters so I know where to find them. So if I'm looking for this dye, I would number it. It's all basic dye section and nesting dye section. So I can put B and D, basic nesting dyes, and put B and D1, B and D2, B and D3, B and D4, and so on and so forth. So I know if I'm looking for this one right here, I can just look up, okay, that's B and D3, flip through it, there's B and D3, and I can find it. Since my dyes are front and back, I most likely am going to try to put them in a way that makes sense. So what I might do is take them out and keep an order like this. So these 4 dyes here, I'll put these dyes together in one section and these dyes together in one section, or whatever, and whoever. So I know that B and D1 is these 2 dyes, B and D2 is these 2 dyes, and so on and so forth. So you know what you have, or you can just label them individually. But I do keep them back on front and back, so I don't use them any dye. I don't use them any of these little pockets. Okay, I think that sums up everything. I don't know if anything else I mentioned. Now you see I do have a lot of different cardstock colors in here. The reason that is because I just used some extra pieces of cardstock I had for my specific project. I was going to use just like one cardstock color that I just bought online. Bought a big old pack of like 500 pieces of like a pale yellow or a pale pink color, so that has a consistent color throughout. But at the time I didn't want to spend the money, and I wanted to use what I had on hand to get rid of it because this wasn't going to be used anytime soon, and so that's what I did. But you can do whatever. It might be too much for somebody to have this much color in here because there are a lot of colors, but you can always do what you feel and what makes you comfortable. Alright. Another thing people will advise you not to do, which I did with this book, which you should really think about, is I did glue my dyes to the front and the back of the same piece of paper. The reason people advise to not do that is because let's say I get rid of this dye. If you don't want to, have to just you can X the dye out if you want to, whatever you want to do. But if you want to make a whole new section or whatever, you would have to cut out all these dyes again. And if you just glue it to one side, you wouldn't have to cut out 2 or 3. It's up to you. It's up to you. Because normally for me, the way I'm doing it, I'm numbering or giving my bins a name, and I'm numbering my dyes and stamps and stuff. So if I replace this dye, I'm going to give my new dye this number normally. Okay, so I think this sums up everything pretty much. what I did do a lot of times to make sure this process didn't take too long is I did shove as many dyes as I could on my little small platform for my big shot, just to make it go by even faster. But it's really up to you. You need to think of how you're going to look for dyes. I put my pumpkins in the flower section because this is flower plants, because it does have leaves and stuff in here. But you can put it, I can cut it back out and put it in my, I'll say seasonal section, if that would help me. It just depends on how you think. I might put it in both sections. I don't know. But you can only find it in one section, which is near the flowers. My background dyes and stuff, just the same thing. You can put these in your nesting dyes if you want to, but they are not basic. They are intricate designs, so I put them in the background. And this helps you to know like what I have. I forgot I have this plaid dye, everything else. And then of course tells you how it cuts, because some of these dyes I did not cut for the video that I showed them in. I just kind of showed you guys and then went on my day and then put them up. And so I don't know if they really worked out well. I mean, I haven't had any problems with that, but you know, just in case, you know what, I can put notes on here, which I have done. This needs to be cut out twice, that needs to be cut out twice, or you know, run through twice, just to help it out. What else can I tell you that I really like with this, that really is really helpful? It just shows me a lot of different things. Like I have this little dye, this dye here is, it's not a square dye, it actually just cuts out the circle and then does a double stitch around it. This dye, I like it. I forgot I had it, and the reason it was really significant is because there was this dye out there that cuts out this big postal stamp, and it has these little windows that have stitching around them, and that's what this cuts out. And I can make my own version using just a basic my basic dyes I do have dyes that cut out postal stamp shapes, and use this and make my own stamp. And I mean, you know, whatever. Don't like my words, but you get what I'm saying. Foot's numb, I can't talk. Alright, with my basic shape dyes, I mean with the other section I have, this is my other section. I have not cut my Christmas dyes yet. I'm just going through my others first. The reason I did others is because I don't have a lot of one item to make a section. I don't really have a lot of buildings. I have like 4 bow dyes, that's it. And the rest of these are just random things I bought out of interest, but they don't really have a section. I could do an animal section, but it would really only be like a couple of these items. That's it. So I just decided to put them all together. And if I really want to put them in a section later on, I can. So that's how I felt about everything, because it's just random to me. But so I kept things like, I can't talk. I kept like items next to each other. So these are in the same pocket. These are in the same pocket. These are in the same pocket. Yeah, and I think this one's in the same pocket. These two, and so forth and so forth. So I know, and when I label these, I'll know where to go. That kind of sums up everything, really. To be honest with you, nothing too crazy. But as I said before, I am going to label these after I finish doing everything, and then label the bin they're in too, because I'm already outgrowing. This is my first dye bin I had, and I'm already outgrowing it, and I'm already needing to buy more of my DVD, CD sleeves, because I don't have enough for all the dyes I keep buying. So that's one big thing I'm doing. Another thing I'm doing too is keeping everything kind of consistent. You can see when I first started doing this process, I used this blue paper that I made myself. I just dyed paper blue, that's it. And at some point in time, I started using paper cardstock color out of my stash that I wasn't really going to use in any projects, but it just looks kind of weird and sticks out unnecessarily. So I do want to stop using that and use the blue paper. I made more paper just so I can use that for this process. I think that sums up pretty much everything. I think the only thing I will tell you that won't be in this section are my dyes that go with stamps. Those are going to be just put next to the stamp. So I'm going to put next to the stamp that have a dye next to it, or has a dye, whatever you want to put next to it, so I know. That sounds so like dye. Sounds weird. I didn't tell you that my mom was like, oh honey, you spelled the word dye wrong. I was like, no, I didn't. And like, yes you did, honey. That's like dye, and like, you know, boom, go, you know, put you around, like, you know, dye. And I was like, oh no, mom, that's how they spell it. They spell it D-I-E. She's like, oh, okay. I was like, I don't understand, but yep. It's funny. Alright, that sums up everything. And as I said before, I've cut out, oh gosh, 50, 60 dies, more, I'm pretty sure more than that so far. If you count each individual die I've cut out, it's a process. It's such a process. But I like it a lot, and I like that it's give me some ideas of things I can do to save myself money from buying more dies. Alright. I jabbered on long enough. I need to get myself a cup of water. I will talk to you later. Much love, and get crafty. And then tell me if you're going to join me in this process of organizing / mostly inventorying your items. I mean, when you inventory, you're going to do a little bit of organization too. So, yeah, that sums up everything. So, my next video, I'm going to be talking about embossing folders and how I'm organize those. Like, those processes are already done. I told you that took me like literally 30 minutes to do all my dies, my embossing folders, because it was just pretty easy, didn't take too much work. I went like, this process is just and I bought more dies, you know, they're all coming in, so this is not even all of them. I gotta go through and add this die and organize it, so that's interesting. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Much love. Talk to you later, guys. Bye. Get crafty.